Hi, I'm Gregg LeFevre, and this is The Compulsive Storyteller, a series of short, personal, real true stories where we explore the idea that truth can be stranger than fiction. This week's episode is entitled Dating Disasters. Triple date. I suspect that something is amiss when I meet Wendy for the first time. She shows up with two guys in tow, both wearing suits and ties, introducing them as friends. We're all on 10th Avenue in the Chelsea Art District of Manhattan. The two suits are clearly both on the make for her, competing with each other and with me. We all head to an art opening nearby, a triple date of sorts. I'm about to bail. The guys are real jerks, when she gives them the heave-ho and invites me to join her for a drink. She's a buxom blonde with long ponytails on both sides of her head. She's a little tipsy, and after our drink, she tells me that she actually lives in Southampton. I'm completely overjoyed when she invites me to come out and see her at the house that she's just built. On the appointed night, I arrive at the Southampton rail station right on time. There she is, sitting outside the station in a white Mercedes sports car with the top down. Swinging the door open from the inside, she says, "Hi, baby, jump in." I think I've died and gone to heaven. When she offers me a kiss, our very first, I can smell booze on her breath. Our high-speed trip to her house is a little loose on all the curves, and I'm white-knuckling my grip on the armrest. Her house is spectacular. Weathered shingles but contemporary, sitting in a clearing in a mature pine forest. She's her own contractor and even did some of the construction herself. Inside, amidst the minimal decor, are a number of exquisite antique Asian sculptures, Buddhas, horses, dragons, and some painted screens as well. But when we walk further inside, we meet yet another guy who's clearly not happy to see me. While Wendy is cooking, he asks me, "Who the hell are you?" And I respond, "Who the hell are you?" We're both weirded out. After a gourmet meal, however, she sends him packing, just like our first date. Déjà vu all over again. After he's gone, she tells me she has a surprise for me and brings out a folding massage table. And she's a pro. So here I am with a sexy blonde who's a great cook, a massage therapist, and an art collector with an incredible eye, and also her own building contractor. Yes, I've definitely arrived in heaven. I won't go into details, but sex, too, was off the charts. In the morning, I wake up to the smell of coffee, and breakfast is another encore presentation. Then she tells me that before we go to the train station, she wants to take me to the dump. Continuing that I won't believe the things people discard here in the Hamptons. Being a scrounger from way back, I'm totally on board. On our way to the dump, she pulls into a trailer park. As we pull up to a double wide, a strapping, shirtless, tall, lean, and much younger man comes out of the trailer. He swaggers, puffs out his chest, and tightens his six-pack while questioning me about how I know Wendy. He then angrily informs me that he built the entire house himself with a pickup crew, and she still owes him money. And, more importantly, she's taken out a restraining order against him. And here she is bringing another guy to his place. He spits when he says it. He's wound up as tight as a spring, and I'm afraid he might kick my ass at any moment. She comes outside the trailer with a folder of papers. "Come on, let's go." I question her. "So is it true that you took out a restraining order against him? You know you put me at considerable risk. He could have beaten the shit out of me, and justifiably so. You know what? Let's skip the dump. Just take me back to the train station." "Don't be that way, Greg," and explains it's a complicated situation, and when I get all the details, I'll understand. I'm way too upset to listen now. Sitting on the train back to New York, I watch the trees go by and review the breakneck speed with which the arc of our relationship unfolded. At 2 a.m. that morning, I'm awakened by a call from Wendy. "Gregg, I need you," explaining that she's just gotten out of surgery at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. He broke into her house and viciously attacked her. She has a broken jaw, 2 black eyes, and some cuts on her lower body. Could I please come out and help her? I have the good sense to say no. "Wendy, your whole situation started long before me, and I'm not going to get involved. Don't you have anybody else you can call?" When she says no, I hang up. A year later, I'm at another opening in Chelsea, and there she is, looking as pretty as ever. Oh yeah, and she's got 2 guys in tow. Yankees fan. She contacts me on a dating app. I'll call it Let's Connect. And let's call her Anna. Her lead profile photo shows a beautiful woman with long auburn hair streaked with blonde highlights, a stunningly pretty face, clear white skin, lovely full lips, and deep blue eyes. Her profile, About Me, paragraph reads, "I'm after a great guy to share this great life. Have enjoyed 4 successful careers and finally have time to devote to my passion as a painter. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, love travel, and I'm a diehard sports fan." Anna connects with me on the app. "Hi, Gregg. You landed in my Let's Connect box, so taking the opportunity to say hello, and as an artist, I thought it might be interesting to connect. Me, how about a get acquainted call, and then we meet up? Anna, prefer to meet up and avoid phone chat. Me, do you like Edward Hopper's work? There's a new retrospective at the Whitney. Would you like to go? Anna, sure, sounds like a fun plan." We agree to meet up that Friday in the lobby of the Whitney. After waiting for 45 minutes, I'm about to head into the show when I see her bumbling along the sidewalk, looking lost. She's wearing a big, floppy, orange knitted cap with Yankees spelled out in all caps, and a rumpled Columbo-style trench coat. Greeting her in the middle of the crowded lobby, she seems a little flummoxed. The Hopper exhibition room is packed with viewers 3 deep in front of every painting. Anna pushes into the crowd in front of one of the paintings. I'm in her wake, and the annoyance of the faces of those who she's pushed in front of is more than apparent. There's a certain etiquette in viewing paintings in a museum, and she doesn't have a clue. Once directly in front of a painting, instead of whispering to me in a hushed voice, which is protocol, she begins this descriptive criticism of the work at normal volume. Talking to me over her shoulder, she begins, "You see what he's done here? How he's melded the blue of the sky and the top of the ridgeline?" Now I'm truly embarrassed and whisper in her ear, "Maybe you should turn down the volume a little bit." She looks back at me with a puzzled expression, dismisses me with a wave of a hand, almost hitting the woman to our right, and returns to her critique. Things get worse, if that's possible, when she wades her way to the next painting, leaving another trail of disgruntled viewers. Again, she begins her crit with a gesture so close to the painting, it sets off the alarm. "Excuse me, miss," says the guard, who hurries into the throng. "Please stand back and don't cross the line on the floor." She backs up a bit, shaking her head with annoyance. It is at this point that I whisper to her again, "I'm going to check out the paintings on the other side of the room." After politely working my way up to one of Hopper's most famous paintings, Early Sunday Morning, I find myself very moved. It features the facades of a row of old 2-story brick buildings. The storefronts on the first floor are bathed in early morning sunlight with stark shadowing along an empty street. It was once featured on the cover of the 5-inch thick New York City phone book. Its quietude is the antithesis of the crowd that now surrounds it. I'm brought out of my reverie by Anna's audible voice from way across the room. Thankfully, I managed to view the remainder of the show without crossing her path. When I'm about to leave, it's easy to follow her voice to find her. I whisper, "Lovely to meet you, Anna. Enjoy the rest of your day." She returns to her lecture, hardly missing a beat. Emerging into the refreshing coolness of the day, I walk to the subway, balanced between my blissful reverie of the show and the abject horror of my companion, promising myself that I will never go on another online dating site without first having a long phone conversation, and maybe even a Google image search as well. Dutch treat. Amazingly, I haven't given up on Let's Connect yet, but this time I'm taking a different path. Arabella, with an unpronounceable Dutch last name, contacts me. She's pretty, curvy, and accomplished, or so says her Let's Connect profile. This time around, I've done my due diligence, learning that she owns a historic house in the countryside outside of New Paltz, New York. She's paid off her mortgage, has no criminal record, and until recently ran the property as an inn. Almost all of her customer reviews are 5 stars. We have a number of very pleasant and very normal phone conversations before I agree to come up for a visit. She presents me with a novel idea. Why don't I come up by train some evening? She'll pick me up in Poughkeepsie at the train station, and we'll go back to her historic Dutch stone house. She will cook me a quote-unquote nice meal, and we can quote-unquote hang out a bit, and then I will spend the night in my own locking room, still maintained from the time she had the inn. The mention of locking room gives me a slight pause. When I arrive at Poughkeepsie Station on the appointed evening, there's no Arabella waiting for me. I take a deep breath and sit down on a bench overlooking the dark, deserted parking area, hoping I'm not getting stood up. As I drum my fingers on the wooden bench, the minutes tick by, and I wait. Finally, after half an hour, a Volvo traveling at high speed races into the lot, does a wide sweeping turn, and pulls up in front of me. Out pops Arabella. Her hair is a mess, and she looks considerably more curvy and older than her profile pics. She runs up and gives me a tight, big, breasty hug, profusely apologizing for being late. Her beautiful, imposing stone house shines in the darkness. She's left on all the lights inside and out from my arrival. She gives me a tour and then heads into the kitchen, where she has me taste soup from a pot with a wooden spoon. It's very tasty. Looking around the room, it's most decidedly colonial. Flowers and 2 candelabras festoon the beautifully set table. She lights the candles, turns down the other lights, and serves an absolutely delicious meal. She's obviously nervous. The ease of our phone conversations is nowhere to be found. She pops the cork on a second bottle of excellent wine to remedy the situation. After a delicious dinner, we retire to the living room with our glasses in hand, and she plies me with more wine as she snuggles up next to me on the couch. Now I'm in a quandary. She's gone to an incredible amount of trouble on my behalf, but I'm really not attracted to her, neither her personality nor her physical being. She puts her head on my shoulder. I could just give her what she wants, but that would be leading her on. So I pull away a little and turn toward her as we sit, and put a hand on each of her shoulders, turning her toward me. Arabella, you're a totally lovely woman, and you've been so generous with your hospitality, but I like to go very slow. With that, her eyes well up with tears, her chest heaves a bit, and she begins to cry, building to a full-fledged hysteria. Oh God, I say to myself, and take her in my arms to comfort her, but she starts kissing my neck. After extricating myself from her upper body, moist with tears, I retreat to my bedroom, where I'm suddenly afraid. What if she's a nut job? What if she's another Kathy Bates in Misery? What if she's done this before and there are graves in the backyard? None of my friends know where I am. Then I say, Greg, get a hold of yourself. I take a chair from the desk, wedging it under the bedroom doorknob. Next, I unlock all 3 windows. Then I take off my shoes and get into bed fully clothed, in case I have to escape. The rest of the night, I lie in the darkness staring at the ceiling. In the morning, she knocks to tell me that breakfast is ready. Over our omelets, she suggests that since I don't have to catch my train until 11:30, I let her drive me around on a tour of the Dutch homesteads around New Paltz. Sure, I would like that. The countryside is beautiful, as are the old stone Dutch houses. She shares a wealth of information, but I'm starting to get nervous about my train. I think we should head for the station now. She tells me we have plenty of time and wants to show me one more, which she does. Then we have to drive back at breakneck speed to catch the train. It just takes a little jam up on the Mid-Hudson Bridge, and we miss my train. She's pulled off a perfect revenge. I refuse her offer to wait with me for the next train, a mere 3 hours. As I sit alone on the same bench I waited on at my arrival, I think over all my experiences on the dating app and formulate some new revised rules. Number 1, insist on several phone conversations. That way I find that if she's intelligent or voted for Trump, if she's a racist or a bitter divorcee. Number 2, verify that she's currently the beautiful woman featured in her online pictures. I suggest that she take a selfie holding up 3 fingers by the side of her face. Number 3, meet 2 or 3 times in public before getting intimate. Number 4, absolutely avoid going to her place or bringing her to mine. And finally, you know what? Just forget the dating app altogether. Yes, that's definitely the way to go. The Compulsive Storyteller is written and narrated by me, Gregg LeFevre, and co-produced with Peter Kokoma, who's also made our theme song. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we'd love your help sharing the show. Please subscribe to The Compulsive Storyteller for free on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And also, if you could leave a review, that would be fantastic. Follow the show on Instagram, @The Compulsive Storyteller, and check out our website for more information at thecompulsivestoryteller.com. Thanks for listening, and if you don't like this one, the next one will be another story. The characters and events portrayed in this podcast are based on my truth, with some names and facts changed for privacy. All conversations and dialogues are based on my best memory, but are not word-for-word recreations.